Devin, Alineeers.
Alright, so what's up guys, it's your boy CrazyBase98, aka Nicholas Morales, founder of the EHGCommunity. Today I went ahead and got my actual gifts and my orders from Amazon, and one of the orders was an actual controller here, and the controller was made by a company called 8BitDo. It's called the N30 Pro. If you don't know what it looks like this. This is what it looks like. We're gonna go ahead and literally try this controller and see if it's good enough. I'm gonna be playing this controller for like probably like 2 or 3 different games, and with that we're gonna see if they work properly. First, as you see, there's a specific design with it that is kind of like special. Like if you see it with the color itself, it's colored in the gray Nintendo 64 controller. You see you got the start and select button, you got the D-pad, you got X, Y, A, B, and you got the analog sticks, and right here at the bottom you got a start button, I believe like some type of button, as I don't even know what that is, and then you have the connect button, which is in the middle, and it takes a C-type charger right here, a C-type charger, and with the C-type charger is L1, L1 R1, and then L2 R2. So these are like the Z buttons with it. And thank you, phone, for going off at the wrong time. But one thing is, we're gonna try multiple different games with different genres and see how the 8BitDo controller actually works properly. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in to a couple of games, and with that, let's see if this 8BitDo controller works. Alright, so we're gonna be looking for an online match for Mario Kart. We're gonna start off with like an actual racing game here, and we're gonna choose our car and everything, and we're gonna go ahead and set up everything for our match. See, we're using the 8BitDo, so we're gonna try to put it like right up here as possible. Gonna choose our raceway, which is right here, and so far I'm having no issue with it. Thing is, the analog sticks are pretty cool. The analog sticks are pretty fluent. The issue that I have with this is the D-pad. The D-pad feels too like it feels too dense to push down. Like I feel like I'm just like trying to put my finger on a wall and just like try to push the wall with my finger, but it's actually just this. So otherwise, it's pretty good. The buttons are pretty responsive. The select and start button are pretty good as well. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can get a race done with this. We only got 5 people. Okay, let's do this. A 5-person race. All right. So, as you can see, we're playing on Mute City right now. And when I drift, I'm using, I believe, the R2 button. And it's very responsive. It's not like the regular, I believe the regular buttons for like a PlayStation or an Xbox, where you just click on them like with a, like a rubber grip. It's just like I would say like a plastic grip. And it makes like a clicking sound. And that actually works out a lot. Because the game for controllers like this, it makes it a lot more easier to handle. I guess it's just like this grip here is actually pretty good for me. Come on. Now, as you can see, it's pretty easy to use instead of just like using like the back triggers for me. I feel as if the analog sticks, especially for me, are too small. I think the size of the controller needs to be increased a little bit more. With this, it just seems as if more that it's made for, I would say, children's size hands. So for me, being a guy who is double jointed and with extremely large hands, it's kind of difficult to, get that grip on. And I'm actually just doing like a lot of, like, massive, like, bending on my fingers, so it could be a little bit uncomfortable. Otherwise, I would say this controller layout and the button layout is pretty good. I think really, like, this is something that's worth a lot. I believe, like, for a certain, $39.99, but I'm not 100% sure. I could possibly check that. I don't remember per se. I just got literally hit by someone. I don't like getting hit. But I saw that this actually comes in multiple colors, and I like the colors that it comes in. Now, with these colors that it comes inside, it comes with like things like the regular Super Nintendo color, Nintendo 64, I believe Sega Master System. I think it also comes into a GameCube color because it's purple, and it was like I would see like a grayish, like a light grayish for the buttons, so that was a major thing for it. Otherwise, for like things like Mario Kart, it's actually very, very responsive. For things like a racing game, is actually something that I would get into, and it's pretty easy because I'm just like holding the buttons to go, but then if I need to drift, I'm drifting this button, but then I'm pressing the top button to actually right here on the left side to throw my weapons. I think the layout's gonna be very, very difficult due to the fact that the top buttons are put together. Like you can see right here, they're all put together. Now, with that, usually on a PlayStation controller, or for instance, like let's say one of the wired controllers for anything of let's say the Switch, PlayStation, or Xbox, the buttons are on top of each other or at the bottom. You see, now it gets kind of difficult and annoying for the fact that you have to press this and then move back. It's a lot of finger bending. But otherwise, on Mario Kart, it does work pretty good. I would recommend getting this for a Mario Kart, and especially someone of a younger size. Especially for me, like I'm pretty small. But you know what? Let's go into the next game. Let's see how it works for the next game. Okay, so we decided to go ahead and switch into another great game, which is Breath of the Wild. Let me just bring up the volume on this a little bit, just a little bit. I think that's fine. But one thing about this game is that it's one of my favorite games of all time. I think that when you play things like this is actually I would say one of the most interesting Zelda games, because it's not based off the regular trope of being in like the regular puzzle type of Zelda. You actually have a lot of world exploration. Now, when using the 8BitDo controller, I would say it's a lot more fluid than the Pro controller itself. Reason being is because I would say that I'm more capable of actually blocking or doing any other specific stunts than I am with a Pro button. I would say a Pro controller. So, for instance, like, if I'm able to do like a menu, I hold the actual D-pad, and it's not that big of a deal because now I'm using the top buttons to switch my weapons. That's why I like about these top weapons sort of being closer, because of the fact that instead of just having to extend your fingers to the back, you can actually do things like have it close up, and you do I would say better things with inventory, better things with like certain skills that Link has, like he actually has the ability to like short like shield hits, and I think that's what this controller does. Like I said, the only problem that I seem to get with it is just that it's pretty small, and that was just my bad timing. So with me, I really do think that this is actually a pretty damn good controller for I would say Breath of the Wild. this is one of the things that oh, excuse me, sorry. This is one of the controllers I would play. Like, let's say if I have it with me on the go, I have it in my pocket, and I have my Switch literally on handheld. Let's say I don't want to take out the Joy-Cons from the actual Switch. Take it out, connect it, and then right here on the go, and I'm playing it. And it's pocket size. Like, it's literally pocket size. Like, if you see my whole hand, it's literally just the size of my own hand. That's what it is. And that's just that's a major thing. You know? And with this, like, as I said, like, for things like Breath of the Wild or like certain adventure games, I think this works out for, you know, traveling, especially a lot of traveling. If you go to, let's say if you have the Switch on the go and you are traveling with I would say different types of companies, or you're doing things like let me see, like you're doing a job in regards to, like, you know, like driving a truck, and you have to drive to different states or have to drive to different parts of the world, and you earn your money doing that. And this is actually something you could use instead of the Joy-Cons. For certain things, you can also have, like, just in case, for a second player, if you don't have the Joy-Cons. Like, for games, I would say if you have Mortal Kombat or any type of fighting games, like in regards to like Neo Geo, like I have King of Fighters, and so on and so forth. And I think this is one of the games that you can actually do. So let's go ahead and go into our last game, which is something of, I would say, like a shooter or something of a fighting game, or anything that could literally just pop into my head. So we got an adventure game, we got a racing game. So let's take a look at possibly a shooter game. All right, now we're gonna get ourselves into a 2D shooter game, which is one of my favorite, which is actually Cuphead. And with that, we're gonna see how the 8BitDo actually works for this. So I also like to mention something about the controller. It's kind of, I would say it's kind of confusing. You have the bottom buttons that right there, so it is something like of the connection button. There's the capture button, and like I said, it's kind of weird that I'm pressing the bottom of it to use the menu button. That is also the sign of the, I would say, the controller. So, in true honesty, it is not a bad. It's not really a bad controller right now. Now, for things like, you know, for things like Cuphead, the 8BitDo controller is actually pretty cool. It works well. It's functioning well. And with that, I'm just enjoying it so much. The only thing I have with, like, button-wise that is confusing is just like I would expect a game like this to have like a specific dodge here, but it really doesn't. As I mean specifically, I don't want to have to use the X button, which is the top button, to dodge. So I think this goes for all controllers, not just the 8BitDo, but I think, like, for things like the 8BitDo, it'll be easier to work with the functions in regards to, you know, things like a dash, or things like in regards to, you know, I would say, like, if you're using the shield in Zelda. Now, it's pretty easy to do things like switch your weapons here. As I said, it's one of those controllers that you can actually work with. I'm actually pretty happy about this. See, I'm actually having no problem with it, so. Otherwise, it's actually a pretty good controller. And there you go. I also find it cool that you can actually set up your Mac, your computer, your Android with it. You can also have things like connecting like a specific USB port that you can buy on the website, and you can connect it to the 8BitDo, and you can use the 8BitDo for things like PlayStation and Xbox, which is actually pretty cool. So so it actually works pretty functional with Cuphead. As I said, like I just have a problem with the top buttons and the size. It's too small for me. Otherwise, it's pretty good. So let me just go on to my final thought about this, and with that we'll see if the 8BitDo is actually, worth buying. As an overall for this controller, I find it's very responsive to most of the things that I do in the gameplay. As I said, like as you can see, like for me having big hands and this controller, it's kind of a pain to deal with it because I have to like bend my fingers to actually use it. And otherwise it's very responsive. It was a good price. As I said, you could do things like connected to your computer, your Switch, your Mac, even your I would say your Android or Apple iPhone. And this is something that is actually really good to use for different games that allow you to use it on said technology. Now, if I can give this thing a score, I can give this a score of I would say 8 out of 10. I think it's actually really responsive. I think it's actually pretty cool of a design for a controller. It's something you can put in your pocket and you can take it with you, and then you can just pass it to your friend. Just in case if you guys want to play like a 2-player game on the run with not just the Joy-Cons, but also you got the 8BitDo. Now, reason why it's not a full 10 is because I say like with the top controllers, it can be very, very confusing, especially with how certain moves or certain actions are with these top buttons, and things like L1 and R1 being at the outside and the inside is L2 and R2 be a little bit confusing. It's like it could be confusing at the bottom with the home button, the connect button and everything, because you would think that the middle button is the home button, but it's not. Another thing, as I said, it's just completely the size. Like this is smaller than what I expected. I think they should make more of these, but like let's say if they do like because this is called the N30 Pro, you should do like the N30 Pro Plus or N30 Pro S, and you can increase the size of it. I think that's a major thing. I think with that, if you do that, then you could just place the L2 and R2 a little bit behind the L1 and R1 button, but otherwise it's actually pretty good to use. I would recommend getting it. It would be something that you can get. I believe I spent probably $39.99 for it, or probably less, and you can get it at Amazon or even at 8BitDo.com, which you could possibly get like many different types of other controllers for it. But you know what, guys, that's all I have for this review. This review is basically about the 8BitDo. As I said, probably get you one. Get you one for your friends, or get you one for your kid who wants a smaller controller to work for them. But definitely subscribe to the EHG community. Definitely turn on your notifications when we get new streams and new videos set out. Definitely join us on our Facebook group, our Discord channel. Make sure to subscribe to our moderators and support our sponsors. Check out our merchandise. But this is your boy CrazyBase98, aka Nicholas Morales, founder of the EHG community. And stay tuned for another video.